Hey guys, how's it going? DJ Neeks here, and once again, I'm going to be doing a bit of a movie review with some gameplay in the background. And yes, I know that the last time I said this, that I indicated that the next movie I would review would probably be Ninja Turtles, but I still have not seen it, and unfortunately, I really did not have that much motivation to go see it. I mean, even though I am a huge fan of the Ninja Turtles, when you're hearing things like the movie, it's better than the first one, which, considering how that the first one was not that great, is not really enlightening, and some people have said it was even worse. Obviously, differing opinions. But yeah, I never really got to go see it. But I did go see a movie recently that I wanted to do a review for because it has been so divisive. And that is Suicide Squad. Now, I was not really that optimistic or that much looking forward to it. I wasn't really thinking this didn't really have that same anticipation like Captain America Civil War did, where you were like, "Oh man, this is gonna be great! I cannot wait to go see this movie. I want to go see." It didn't have that feeling for me. It was more like, I'm interested. I'll see it. Obviously it continues the story in the DC universe. It's the sequel to Batman v Superman, which, yeah, it does remind you of that. And so, by the way, this is gonna include spoilers. In case you don't want to get spoiled about anything that happens in this movie, you may want to stop because I'm gonna include spoilers in this review. There's not gonna be like I'm gonna talk about this and then it's this one. No, because I just kind of go. And in the background, you're probably going, "What is this?" This is Digimon CyberSleuth. Yeah, a Digimon game. Can you believe it? And to show you what I'm talking about, here are some Digimon that I've gotten that you might recognize. Such as, War Greymon. Yeah, my man War Greymon from the first show. Or Metal Garurumon. And here's Imperial Dramon from the second season. So yeah, if you're wanting my opinion on this game, what are my thoughts on it, I really like this game. I mean, it is a JRPG and it has those elements. It's fully Japanese dub. There is no English dub. It's just English subtitles. So if you have a problem with that, that could be an issue, which is why I don't usually have the sound on. I don't really care about listening to the audio in this game. Not that it's bad. I just don't necessarily want to hear the same music over and over and just hear Japanese dub because you're pretty much just jumping and skipping through the dialogue because unfortunately the story is really nothing to write home about. But it is fun in the regard that if you are a fan of Digimon like I was a huge fan of Digimon. In fact, I might be more of a fan of Digimon than Pokemon. I know that may not be popular to say right now. Oh, how dare you say that? How dare you? When Pokemon Go is the greatest thing that ever... Look, I was in the 90s. I loved the Digimon show. I thought it was really great. I mean, I loved Pokemon too, but there's something about Digimon that's for me is a bit more appealing than Pokemon, and the fact that the bond and friendship that Tai had with Agumon and the others Digidestined had with their Digimon, and the Digimon talked, so they were like actual full characters with personalities. Same with the Digidestined, but anyway, that's a whole nother discussion for another time. I'm pretty much just gonna be messing around with the gameplay here, checking some stuff. I may as well show you guys my collection of Digimon I have gained in this game. Currently have Plesiomon, Machine Dramon here. I also have Skull Marimon, who I'm trying to level up so I can digivolve him. And yeah, you can digivolve and de-digivolve Digimon when you want to. Digi-Convert right here, this is pretty much how you quote-unquote capture Digimon a la Pokemon. You scan them, and then when they're 100%, you can convert them and actually have them be your own. So, others here, Flame Dramon, Haumon, Mega Gargomon, Gilmon, who I'm working on someone else, Metal Seadramon, Venom Iotismon. A lot of these mega level Digimon, and trust me, it's not quick to get these guys. You gotta do a lot. There's a lot of grinding in this, as you would expect. So anyway, back to Suicide Squad as I got sidetracked here. So yeah, this movie has been so divisive. There are some people who like it. There are some people who don't like it. There are some people who love it, and there are some people who hate it. It's extremely divisive. The critics have really hated on this movie. Just constantly, like, panning it, criticizing it. And, let me try and remember what it is. Yeah, that's right. There's another case here. Okay, so I guess I'll go ahead and do this. But, yeah, I mean, I was hearing that, it was very divisive. There's things about it that people don't like, but then there are people that on YouTube that afterwards said the critics don't know what they're talking about. This movie is awesome. It's a lot of fun. And they were saying it's like Guardians of the Galaxy. And I'm like, well, I liked Guardians of the Galaxy. It was a really great movie. A band of misfits coming together that at first don't get along, but then they eventually, form a bond of friendship, and they team up to do good and be the heroes. And I thought that would be really cool, especially since it's with characters from DC I know, like Harley Quinn, Deadshot, obviously Joker was in it, and I'll get to him in a bit. And yeah, it was supposed to be like their version of Guardians of the Galaxy. Ben Affleck's Batman was going to be in it to make a cameo, and so was another certain hero. So let's get right into it. So the movie basically starts off. I have no idea what I'm doing now. That's pretty much how it is. I skipped through the dialogue, and then I'm like, wait, what do I do? Where do I go? Oh, maybe over there. So, and I'm pretty far into the story. In case you're going, why are Digimon just floating around the real world? Well, that's how far into the story I am. But anyway, the movie starts off with some good introduction to some certain characters. You see them in prison. You see them just kind of doing whatever. Harley Quinn's just kind of, kind of hanging from her bars in her cell, trying to be like all crazy and such. Deadshot is kind of working out while also messing with this officer because he's giving him a hard time. And oh, okay, so it looks like I found the right place to continue the story. So yeah, it's just kind of like shows that they're in this prison here, all of them, including Killer Croc and others included. Try and remember all the members here. But yeah, so basically, then the story really gets into it after we introduce them, that we then see Amanda Waller heading to some kind of restaurant to meet with some people. You see a guy on the street, and this is where the movie reminds you, by the way, this takes place after Batman v Superman, as it reminds us about Superman's death. Because this guy is selling shirts with Superman's logo, and on the back it says, remember, because everyone is, remember Superman, never forget him, and I'm like, oh, thanks for reminding us about that. So, anyway, despite how many of us may feel about how they handled Superman's death in only the second movie he was in, never mind. I don't want to get too much into it. So she meeting basically with some higher up, I guess, government people to discuss a plan that she has in mind. And their basic premise for this is they're saying, well, it was a good thing that this Superman actually shared our morals, but what if the next Superman does not? What if he decides to be a bad guy? And that's basically what they're talking about. And so she wants to put together a team of really powerful bad guys who she can control by basically planting a bomb in their head, so that way in case they don't follow orders or try to escape, they'll just blow them up and kill them because, hey, they're criminals. What do they care, right? So she explains each of them. We get some backstory on a couple of them, mainly Deadshot and Harley, because obviously they're the two main ones in this movie. We, of course, learn that Deadshot has a daughter. I kind of knew this about Deadshot's character from the Arrow show, but it showed that this Deadshot was more caring about being with his daughter than the other Floyd Lawton was. And it also, of course, showed that he's an amazing shot. He never misses. He's incredibly accurate. And it also... this is when we get to see, oh, there's Ben Affleck's Batman, because basically Waller was able to help direct Batman to getting Deadshot. And then we get to meet Harley, see what happened with Harley Quinn. Of course, she was Harley Quinzel. And this is when we first meet Jared Leto's Joker. Excuse me. So don't get me wrong. Don't let my exhale there get you guys the wrong impression of what I thought about Jared Leto's Joker. Here's the thing, guys. It's not that I thought he was a bad Joker, which is kind of funny to say. Well, Joker's bad. No, that's not what I mean. I'm not saying that I thought he did a bad job as Joker, but there's a difference between doing a good or bad job and then doing a version of that character that you're told to do, and it's not necessarily a version that people are used to or particularly like because it's not a version we're used to. But one of the good things about this version of, or at least one of the good things about the Joker character in general is that he's a very, I guess you could say, flexible character because he's so unpredictable that that can kind of help, like, make you decide, I want to do Joker this way. Whether or not that's the best way to go about it, that's debatable. But let me just say, I have my own personal preference when it comes to Joker, clearly, at this point. And this was definitely evident with what I saw in the movie last night. My favorite Joker is, some people may disqualify this, but I don't see why it should, is Mark Hamill. The animated series Joker. And of course, he did the same Joker for the Arkham games. I just thought it was the perfect mix. If you want to see, like, what I'm talking about, go watch my Arkham Asylum playthrough, the first Batman game, because that was a true testament of Mark Hamill's Joker from the animated series, because he pretty much did that throughout the entire game, which was fantastic. To me, it's like the perfect mix of what the Joker is kind of intended to be. In fact, he has said in interviews that that's what he based his Joker off of, what he thought the Joker was supposed to be back in the comics, the not just complete psychopathic killer, but also that hilarious clown who's trying to make it all funny, make it a joke, make you laugh, recently I saw The Killing Joke, and it was okay. There was a part where he's just talking with this guy who's getting the fairgrounds, the carnival from. I guess he's the guy who's selling him the carnival, and he's just talking with him, and he at one point the guy is facing away from us. He's facing Joker, and Joker's just talking, and he's like, "I think I've already bought it, and it's mine, and I can see you're clearly happy about that. How good for you." And I'm like, is he dead? And as soon as the camera changes angle, it shows the guy is dead because he's just sitting there just with a big giant grin and his face painted. And I'm like, first off, when did that happen? When did it have the opportunity to do that? But also at the same time, I'm like, that's why that Joker is wonderful, because that was horrifying. It happened in the blink of an eye, and he was like, "Oh, I can see you're so happy. How wonderful!" He did it. He didn't do it in a very scary way where he killed him in a way that made you go, it was just like, "Oh, I can see you're happy," and it's that horrifying thing where he's making it look like a joke and that it's really funny. But at the same time, he kills someone in a very horrifying manner. And that's what makes that version of the Joker, to me, my favorite. And probably, in my opinion, the best version of Joker. I know many people think Heath Ledger's Joker is the best, or their favorite. But, as I've said before, to me, there wasn't as much clown in that version of Joker. That was just really psychopath. I'm a psychopath. I'm psycho. And that's pretty much, he didn't do nearly as much laughing or as much clown, funny stuff. Try to get across that he's trying to make him laugh, try to make it all funny. Because that's kind of what his polar opposite of Batman is. He's trying to make it all fun. He's trying to get Batman to laugh. He's trying to make him think it's all funny. That's part of what he wants to do. And if that part of Joker is not there, it just feels like not quite the Joker that I think, I personally like. And then we come to Jared Leto's Joker. This guy, it was as if they were trying to make a Scarface version of the Joker. He had the elaborate jackets like Scarface did. He had these braces or grills in his teeth, which I just found ridiculous and distracting, and just sometimes it affected what he said, and it was sometimes hard to understand what he said. And I get what they were trying to, like, he's a street thug, and I'm like, but Joker is not a street thug. He's supposed to be the clown prince of crime. Emphasis on clown. And they called him a clown in the movie, but he certainly did not act that much like a clown, which is part of, the horrifying thing, because, people are scared of clowns, And he tries to take advantage of that by being a funny clown while also being a psychopathic, killer. And he never came across to me that way. So, it's not my personal preference, but did he do a bad job? No, but then again, he was in the movie for about, 7-8 minutes total? He's hardly in the movie at all. They show some flashback scenes with him and Harley to help talk on Harley's background and how she became Harley Quinn. But that was pretty much the majority of it, other than when he tries to break her free from Amanda Waller's control and when he breaks her out of prison, but that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the extent of it. And even when Batman shows up to capture both Joker and Harley Quinn and only ends up getting Harley, he never even acknowledges Batman or acknowledges that he's there. And I'm like, he's supposed to kind of acknowledge him because they're supposed to be like the arch nemesis, arch rivals, arch villains, and there's nothing, no acknowledgement, nothing whatsoever, and it was a letdown for me. I mean, but he didn't do a bad job with what he was probably told to do in terms of like, we want our Joker to be like this, we want it to go in this direction, and if that's what they wanted to do, then he did a good job, but it's not a version of Joker that I find all that appealing. It just came across as not really that much of the actual Joker character. I mean, honestly, I got more of a... Oh, wait, hold on, what? The desert place is calling you. You should go there. You can see it from near the crossing. Huh. Maybe I gotta go in here. So, anyway. Yeah, I mean, they did a good job with Harley because they actually had some nice references to things involving classic Harley. There was a couple of times they showed her wearing the classic Harley outfit. When she was getting her stuff ready for their fight, she pulls it out and she's like, "Oh, this looks nice," and then she kind of puts it away like, "Nah," and it's kind of a cool, they were very respectful in that regard to the classic, version of the character. And there were some times where she used the voice, and she does say Mr. J, and she says Puddin'. She even has she puts a necklace on that says Puddin' because she's waiting for Joker to break her out. And of course, and they emphasize that she's completely fallen in love with him, which of course is very true to the Harley character. Although Joker never really emphasized that he was that much in love with her, but in this one they actually showed that he cares for her. He actually cares for Harley, which I was kind of... Oh, wow. Oh, Skull Greymon's there. Look out for him. Hey, pat him on. But anyway, yeah, there's a moment where they show that they're at Ace Chemicals, and of course we all know Ace Chemicals is pretty much where Joker became Joker. And they did a good job, by the way, of showing that in The Killing Joke. That was a pretty awesome scene. Yeah, they're at Ace Chemicals, and he's asking her, would she die for him? Would she live for him? And she's like, yes, of course. And then, and then, she falls into the chemicals. And at first he's gonna walk away like, oh well, that's that. And then he gets this look like, darn it, darn feelings. And he takes off his jacket and he dives in to save her. And they kiss and he's laughing. And it was like, okay, that's a fine scene. And it was in a flashback where she's thinking about that moment, and so I thought that was a fine scene. But they also, where am I supposed to go? Oh, here. This is the bad thing about this game. Sometimes I get really lost in terms of where I'm supposed to go or what I'm supposed to do. Let me see here. Huh. But yeah, it was part of Harley's flashback, and to talk about her character and her story, which I will say this movie does a good job of just down moments where you can just kind of have some character development where they talk about themselves or what happened to them and their backstory and such, like the scene we probably saw in the trailer, which is the bar scene, which is a good scene because there's a character who's I loved the character. He's called El Diablo because he basically was a metahuman with the powers to use fire, and but he becomes a pacifist. Like, he doesn't want to harm or kill anybody ever again anymore because he lost control, and he unfortunately actually unintentionally killed his wife and his children, which is pretty sad and tragic. And he pretty much does not want to harm or kill anybody ever again anymore. Which is pretty cool when you have a guy who's probably the most powerful character in the group, and he doesn't want to kill anymore. He doesn't want to use his powers because he's afraid he'll harm or kill somebody, which is pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to show you guys Digivolve because I'm wanting this Guilmon to become a Tyrannomon and Digivolve that, all the way to the Mega version of Tyrannomon, because I've already got War Growlmon. I'm just trying to progress till I can get Gallantmon. Guilmon, Digivolve to Tyrannomon. I've done that a lot playing this game. I can't help it. I just remember how they would do that in the show. All right, now I'll have to wait until he can become Metal Tyrannomon. And I wonder, do I have any room in my party to include him? Let's see. Can I bring him into my party? Yes, I can. Awesome. Alright, so maybe that'll help him level up. But, yeah, they do some awesome character development with some of the characters. Not all of them, but, like that moment with Diablo where he explains to the group about what he did and why he doesn't want to do that anymore. And Harley's like, don't be, own it. Pretty much just trying to say, look, we are all crazy. We are all ugly. We are all, these bad people. Don't, run away from it. Embrace it. Own it. And Croc's like, hey, you're like, I'm beautiful. And she's like, oh yeah, sure you are. And then there's another element with this is part of the main story, because the Joker is not the main villain in this movie. Instead, the main villain is someone who they advertised was going to be part of the Suicide Squad, a character called the Enchantress. And she ends up being the main villain, because she's supposed to be like this ancient, powerful god who now embodies, is in the body of this doctor who discovered her, and has also fallen in love with the soldier, and the soldier's fallen in love with her. But of course, the Enchantress is getting in the way and such. Oh, here we go. This is the place. Wow, it was a restaurant. But yeah, it's part of the plot, that Amanda Waller tried to, get them to sanction using the Suicide Squad by having Enchantress display how powerful she is, while also they have her heart, so that way they can use that to, control her And she then steals this artifact, which is, the Enchantress does, which contains the spirit of her brother, another god who is basically her brother, and unleashes her brother upon the public to be able to help her get free and escape. And then she's like, the humans, use machine. They don't worship us anymore. They worship machines. Well, we'll build a machine that will destroy all of them. And in that regard, the Enchantress becomes the main villain of the movie. And they get then the Suicide Squad, Killer Croc, Deadshot, Harley, along with Colonel Flag, who's played, I believe, is played by the actor who played RoboCop in the new RoboCop movie. I actually did not see that yet. But he did a fine job in terms of adding to that element of the story, about how he's conflicted because, of course, the Enchantress is embodying the body of the woman that he loves. And so he's conflicted because he doesn't want to kill the Enchantress because he's afraid he might have to kill her, even though she told him because she felt so trapped by the Enchantress that if he ever had to choose between them, choose killing the Enchantress. But of course he's hesitant, doesn't want to do that because, he doesn't want to kill the woman he loves. And there's a point where he expresses that to Deadshot, and Deadshot's like, "Man, you think I've ever gotten this far and be able to sleep at night without, with having something as silly as love, even though he loves his daughter." So, we know he's not entirely serious there. And what's cool is the kind of chemistry that Flag and Deadshot have, where he's talking trash to Deadshot, saying that he's just a murderer who takes credit cards. He'll just, tuck and run when the going gets tough. He'll just run away and such. And basically, Deadshot then shows him up when they're getting attacked by these, I guess, are foot soldiers. They're like the putty patrol for the Enchantress, basically. That's how they came across to me. They just had these, like, they had no faces and such. They were just like generic foot soldiers, for the bad guy. And that's why I call them the putty patrol. And Deadshot is basically standing on a car. He is just unloading on all of them, while the other soldiers that are with them, they just stop and they just look at him like, whoa, look at this guy. He's taking them on all by himself. And afterwards, after he's shot all of them, he looks at Flag. He's like, that's how I tuck and run. And I was like, that is awesome. And by the end, they bond together and they decide, rather than run away, even though he tosses the device that could explode their heads, which, by the way, he actually does that to someone who joins the group kind of midway or like half an hour later. They're like, this guy, he can climb any surface. And I was like, that's it? Nothing more on this guy? And then you realize why they didn't spend too much time on this character, because as soon as he tries to run away and escape, boop, they press the button, his head explodes. And just to show, yeah, we're serious about that whole putting the thing in your neck, so if you try to run away, we'll kill you, And that was pretty much the emphasis there. But then after the bar scene, and they learn the truth about what's really going on, after they try to cover it up like, oh, it's a terrorist attack, when, rather than tell them about the Enchantress, that Flag, at that point, he's like, you know what, forget it. You guys, you're free to go. And he like destroys the device that would have, blown up the bombs in their necks. And by the way, Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang, he wasn't bad in this movie, which everyone seems to be agreeing. And they're like, you know what? I thought Jai Courtney he wasn't bad, which surprised me. Everyone was expecting Jai Courtney to be awful in this movie, and he actually did a pretty decent job as crazy Captain Boomerang from Australia, which, by the way, involved a cameo from The Flash. Yes, Ezra Miller's Flash makes an appearance in this movie as Captain Boomerang tries to get away from robbing a bank, and then Flash shows up, and he's like, oh, hi there. And because he knows he killed his partner, he's like, oh, I guess you're not that good with hired help, huh? And then he captures him. That's it. That's all we saw of Flash. Just a little cameo, a little teaser for his movie years from now. But yeah, at that point, even though he said you're free to go, they all decide, you know what? We got nothing else better to do. Let's go. Let's go get the Enchantress. Although Deadshot had more of an awesome motivation, because Flag gives him letters from his daughter, and he's like, you had letters from my daughter this whole time? And he's like, you know what? I'm going to go help you. We're going to stop her, because I'm going to show my daughter that her dad is not a piece of crap. which was awesome that he's got that motivation that he just wants to be a good dad. He wants to show his daughter that her dad is not just a killer, just a criminal, that he's more than that, which was, Will Smith, very good job. I really liked him in this movie. He was awesome. The way they handled the Deadshot character in this version was better than what I thought they were gonna do. Or oh look, Omnimon from the terrible Digimon movie. Look, pretty much everyone agrees the show was awesome, but the movie was not that great. Even though the movie was canon, which always bugged me. They made that clear in season 2. But anyway, back to Suicide Squad. But yeah. So they all bond together. They're like, all right, we're going to go and we're going to take care of the Enchantress. All of them together. And Killer Croc gets his moment because there's a grenade or a charge underwater that they could use to kill the Enchantress's brother. And at first they're going to go scuba diving for it, but then Croc's like, please. It's like, I live underground. You guys are just tourists. And it's like emphasizing that, look, I'm the better swimmer here. So I'm going to go take care of that. And the rest of them are going to try and go in there. And we get to the final fight. And this is where Diablo had his shining moment. He starts to, flame on the brother, who then the brother god knocks him away. And then he loses control and he becomes basically a godlike spirit like the Enchantress and her brother himself. Emphasizing, I guess, that El Diablo, the reason he had his powers was because the El Diablo was a actual god spirit within him. That's why he had his powers. And so then he goes toe-to-toe with the brother, and it's just an awesome sight, seeing these two godlike beings just wailing on each other in a fist fight, rah, rah, and they're pushing each other. It's really awesome, and it was man, he is having his shining moment, taking this guy on head-to-head, one-on-one. Really cool. And they're going to use the charge to kill the brother, but the brother's got Diablo pinned, and they're no, we got, don't do it, Diablo's gonna die. And Diablo goes, no, do it. And he has a great moment where they're gonna blow it, and he looks at the brother and he's like, you're so screwed. And he says it, I think he says it either in whatever their god language was, or in Spanish, either one. But and then the brother's like, wait, what? And then boom, it kills them both. And Enchantress is like, no, brother. And she is trying to deceive them, trying to say that if you side with me, I'll give you whatever you want, because that's how powerful I am. And, as her spell to destroy the world is being cast, she starts to fight them one-on-one, showing how powerful she is, that she can take all of them on all by herself. And, by the way, also, I forgot to mention Katana, who was also in Arrow, but was also in this movie. She got a couple of scenes, not that much, scene where she is talking to the sword because the sword was used to kill her husband, and the sword entraps the souls of those people that it killed. And so she's crying as she's talking about it's elementary. She's crying while talking to it because she's thinking about her husband, which is of course sad. And of course she's in the fight trying to use the sword to stop the Enchantress. And there's a point where she loses the sword, and she's basically offers them one more time, saying oh, you're the best fighters I've ever fought. I'm gonna give you one last chance to side with me. And and Harley's like, you know what? Why not? And she has a moment basically, what has the world ever done for us? And she uses this as an opportunity to get closer. And as she starts to bow, she's like, there's just one problem. And she goes, you attacked my friends. And she grabs the sword and she uses it to strike at the Enchantress and pull the heart back out that she had taken back. And it basically takes away Enchantress's power. And then they throw a bunch of I guess C4 or dynamite at the big entity that's causing the destruction of the world, the spell. And they're going to blow it up by having Deadshot shoot at it. And so what happens is, as he's getting ready to shoot at it, we then see his daughter be like, it's clearly an illusion by the Enchantress trying to get him to stop. I just saw Digimon attack somebody. It's not even safe to go outside now. Why don't you ask Ryota? Yeah. And the daughter is like, oh, the only way we can be together is if you don't pull the trigger. And he screams, I guess accepting that or knowing that it's a trick. He shoots, it blows up, and then it's just the Enchantress after the entity has been destroyed. And Flag is like, let her go or I'll crush this heart. And she goes, go ahead, you don't have the balls. And he crushes it, killing the Enchantress, thinking it also killed his girlfriend, Dr. June. But then June moves, and she literally rips what was left of the Enchantress's face off of her. And, they're reunited. It's like, oh, it's a happy ending. And, is there a new place to go? I don't know where I'm supposed to go. So anyway, we then get that happy ending with those two. Waller shows up after being captured, and she's, almost threatening to blow them all up. But they're like, hey, whoa, we saved the day. Don't we kind of, deserve some, thanks? She's like, yeah, thanks. 10 years off your prison sentence. And they're like, yeah, that's not really enough. And so she's like, I'm sure we could work something out, And it shows some cool endings. Like, it shows that Deadshot gets to spend more time with his daughter. He's helping her with math. It shows Harley, she got an espresso machine because she was like, why not an espresso machine? She was like, ugh. And so she got that. Killer Croc got a TV in his cell. Yeah, it shows Captain Boomerang still going crazy, like going, let me out, But yeah, it was kind of cool, and they had Bohemian Rhapsody playing in the background at this point, which was pretty funny. And they, by the way, the soundtrack was great. There were a lot of songs that were like, yeah, I know this song, it's a great song, and they had it playing at various times. It was really fun in that regard. And then it ends with the Joker breaking Harley out, and that's how the movie ends. There were a couple other things on my mind. Let's see. There was a scene where Amanda Waller kills some agents as they're trying to clean up and get out of there. She kills them, just point blank, boom, 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 saying they don't have clearance. And it was kind of jarring, like, whoa, she just murdered them in cold blood. And in front of Flag and in front of Deadshot, and they were both like, yeah, that's pretty much what we would expect from you. And Deadshot's like, that is gangsta. And Flag's like, yeah, at this point, I expect it from you. I mean, I get what they were going for with Amanda Waller's character in that regard, because even early in the movie they said, you look like you're like the cat that ate the canary, and she's like, I've eaten a lot of canaries. And to me, I guess that's what they were going for, that she's someone who's ruthless in that regard, even though it's not necessarily entirely in her character. But I got what they were going for, but not really one of the better moments for her character in the movie. But, what are my basic thoughts on it? Pretty much my overall feeling and verdict about it was I enjoyed it. I think we sometimes get confused on whether or not we should be asking, is it a good movie or a bad movie, or was it a movie you had fun watching? Was it a movie that entertained you? Because sometimes that can be two completely different things. Is Suicide Squad a good movie? You could look at it from various different ways to determine that. But was it a movie that you had fun watching? Oh yeah, no, I had fun watching it. It was entertaining. It entertained me. I had fun with it. With the soundtrack and the characters and the character development scenes that it made me laugh from various times. There was some good comedy in this movie, especially with Will Smith's Deadshot and Harley and other characters. So it was fun. It was funny. I got what they were going for with the Guardians of the Galaxy kind of vibe, a band of misfits, coming together to help save the day, even though they're usually bad guys or criminals, but they decided, yeah, we're gonna team up to save the day and be heroes just for today, which is an awesome story. And, if this is really like the next entry in the DC universe to set up other stuff, to set up Flash, at the end of the credits, there's a scene where Amanda Waller meets up with Bruce Wayne and hands him files on Aquaman, Flash, and the Enchantress. which I don't know why he'd want files on the Enchantress, but then again, he's Bruce Wayne. He wants files and information on everybody, so maybe that's why. I don't know. But I don't see him recruiting Enchantress to join the Justice League. But obviously, the Aquaman and Flash files set up the Justice League movie, which we saw a trailer for in at Comic-Con. So, obviously it's setting up that next entry. But like, if you ask me, what grade would you give it? What like on a scale, what would you give it? I would probably give it, in terms of enjoyment, a 7 out of 10, or maybe even an 8, but, an 8 might be pushing it, but I really liked the movie. I really liked it. I really had fun. I really enjoyed it. I think a 7 out of 10 is fair. I think it was a really fun movie. I think the critics are being incredibly way too harsh on this movie. There are certain things about it that I'm not fond of, like Jared Leto's Joker, it's just not my personal preference when it comes to Joker. I mean, heck, I like Jack Nicholson's Joker a heck a lot more than Jared Leto's. But Suicide Squad as a movie, go see it. Enjoy, I liked it. I think you'll enjoy it. If you, obviously you got to be maybe a bit knowledgeable with the characters. Obviously I know about Harley Quinn a lot, and Deadshot and Killer Croc and these other characters. I'm knowledgeable on them, and it was characters I knew and I'm familiar with. And, the soundtrack to very certain scenes, and of course with Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, with some missteps here and there, maybe like with that scene where she killed the agents, which was, cold, but, even though I understood what they were going for. But I thought the movie was fun, I thought it was good, for my own personal enjoyment, and, I think I encourage you, go see it, don't just, the critics have been hating it, and of course, critics, they're always right, or we take their word for it. No, don't take critics' word on this movie. They are being incredibly way too harsh on it. It's almost like they want DC to fail, and they just want Marvel to succeed. But then again, I saw this when they criticized Warcraft, and then I saw it, and I realized they don't get it. They don't get the movie because they don't know the source material. If you're someone who knows the source material, you'll like it. But if you don't, then you're probably not going to like it. So I would say if you're knowledgeable on the source material from DC, then go see it. Whether or not you like Jared Leto's Joker or not, that's an entirely different thing. But maybe because he was only in it for so short, maybe we just need to see more of him, and then we'll get a better evaluation whether or not he's actually a good Joker or not. It's just a different take on it that I wasn't necessarily fond of. So yeah, that's my review of Suicide Squad. I give it a thumbs up, say go see it, recommend it. I enjoyed it. Definitely hope that you guys will take an opportunity to go see it and have fun seeing it. And and who knows when the next movie review will be, what it could be. I'm not entirely sure yet myself, but we'll find out when I see you guys next time.